Charlie Kirk is now dead. It is a death that has moved the country. And I've seen some things being said about him and things that haven't been said about him that I just cannot sit by and let be said. So here's my serious conversation about what has happened and what is going on. Now, a couple disclaimers I should add. As many people seem to have said, I never liked Charlie Kirk before. It was more so leaning towards the fact that I hated him. Not extremely so, but it was a very, very strong dislike for the man. Very much so. And for good reasons that I will get into later. But I do not advocate for the shooting of him. And the first thing I will say is that the one who committed the act, turn yourself in. You are not above the law, and you violated your ability to have someone use their freedom of speech free willingly, and you violated that, and you've become a murderer. I see you. I don't know who you are, but I see you. And I see the type of man or woman that you are. What you've done has irreversible consequences. I don't approve of what you've done, but at the same time, I see you. I see why you've done it. Which is why we should get into what Charlie Kirk has done. Many people in his passing seem to go over the fact on why he was such a hated individual in the first place. And let's start from this point. I am someone who has trained myself in the blade. And one of these things that you will hear when you sword fight is, the pen is mightier than the sword. Now, this is a case that is very controversial and should it be taken literally or figuratively, but the point being is that Charlie Kirk has mastered his art of fighting with a pen or a voice rather than a sword. Charlie Kirk was an A-class manipulator. As you may know, he goes to college campuses and challenges ideas, but this is something that these people and people on the left or the right, they all do under the guise that it's just a freedom of speech or that we are just challenging an argument. And if your argument is so sound, you'll be able to defend it with absolute conviction and you will change my mind, but this is not the case. It isn't. He was a bad person who twisted words, changed ideals, just so he could get his hateful point across. He was a hateful man. And him specifically, he doesn't get sympathy from me. He has advocated for the death and prosecution of many people because he was a selfish, racist, and homophobic person. And maybe you could add a bunch of ist or icks in there, but I'm not going to. I am going to only state on what I have heard, the things he has said. He was not advocating for you changing your viewpoints. That's something that the left and right has become a point of. That's why I've left it a long time ago. It's both stupid. Slowly, you forget to challenge the point, and your ideas become you. Once he starts attacking an idea, it feels as if he's attacking you. And that's what he wants you to feel. He wants you to get angry. And it's the same way other way around. They want people to fight. And this is what happened. This is the catalyst. And what we shouldn't do is that, oh, see, I knew the left was a bunch of little troglodytes, and that's not what we're going to do, because that means not he's won, but that means his idea has won. And it is a bad idea that has been tearing us down for far too many years. A whole many different examples of why this line of thinking has been bad for the country and bad for human evolution as a whole. The notion of attack the idea, not the person, is an idea that no one follows through with. And this was something that Charlie Kirk was heavily advocating for, though he may not have said it. He was a manipulator, and what he was manipulating towards, he was a very, very bad person. And in that being said, though I have my qualms about Charlie Kirk, his children and his wife, it's very disheartening. There are a plethora of sayings, and something that I believe myself to do is, if you're ever in an argument or with a person, or if you're ever going to do something like this, which you shouldn't, you should go specifically for the person. And how many people you've hurt, not even just his family, is just disgusting and deplorable and overall very, very selfish. It was very selfish. I love children. They are the future. I respect children. And now, one of them is not going to have so much bright future. They're going to have trauma from this. And whether it will make them stronger or make them weaker, only time will tell. And the fact that you've put them in this limbotic state of deciding to be a better person or a worse person off of this singular moment is, again, very selfish. And my heart goes out to his family, but not to him. It has to. And on this notion, on this example that I'm putting out, whether or not he'll have his wife remarry, or they will have a better dad, a better father, is not my place to say. It isn't. Charlie Kirk was another human. In my eyes, he was a bad one, but he was another human nonetheless. And I respect all of humanity, except for a few others, of course, namely rapists and PDF files and none of the sort, and all that other nonsense. But so far, for every single one of you that don't commit those heinous acts, I can see you as a bad person, a good person, but I can also see you as a human, a person. And a human lost his life. And 3 other humans have to live with that. But there are some bright sides to this. Charlie Kirk, you have left a legacy. And I'm sure it's a legacy you wish to leave behind. Whether this was all some big ruse so you could paint yourself to be a bad guy so everyone could rise up together against a noble cause or not, or whether you just had an idea and you were advocately pushing for it in the most wrong way, whether it was, it doesn't matter. You've changed the course of America. You have changed it. Whether for the course of the worse or whether the course for the better. I vote for better. I advocate for better because I trust us. This is just a setback. This doesn't define us. This is the mistake of one person, 2 people that clash and have influenced the eyes of many people. This has opened a lot of eyes. It hasn't opened mine, but it's gave me a reason to speak for. And there are a couple ways to take from this. This whole thing started because no one knew what the right answer was. No one had anything to go off of. It was always an iffy, gray-line battle of, well, if it's freedom of speech, does that mean he shouldn't be able to say it? Is it freedom of speech, or is this hate speech? Is what he's saying is true, or is it not true? But here are some truths that I believe and that I hope you will believe along with me. Some truths that I hope that you can take along with you. This is what I believe. As I said before, this is a turning point for America. This will set the tone for the ongoing future. This, along with the recent event that's occurred involving pew-pews and students, again, as sad as that was, this will change the course of the future. It will. It is very impactful. This is what we need to go on. Number 2, just because what happened to Charlie Kirk happened doesn't mean that he wasn't a bad man. We cannot act like he didn't do bad things. And there is a saying, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Charlie Kirk isn't my worst enemy, but I certainly do not like him. And I certainly wouldn't wish this on him. But I'm not going to ask that the person that pulled that trigger didn't have a reason to do so. Who knows? Maybe Charlie Kirk in one of his hateful rants directly impacted their life. As we acknowledge as Charlie Kirk as a human, we must acknowledge the one who was behind it all as a human with their own experiences as well. And those they should pay for their crimes, and they are not above the law, and they should seek to turn themselves in, we cannot act like this was just a monster and wave them off as this was an attack against humanity. No, this was a civil war. This was an inside job. This was a human towards a human, and I've lost my ability to speak. They both must be treated as such. And my last takeaway from this is that Charlie Kirk, though for your lifetime I despised you, but I do not agree with what happened to you. And on the right side, I can believe and see that you've passed away a little roughly, but smoothly nonetheless. But for what you've done for my world, for the point that you were trying to change, the point you were trying to make, the America you wanted to be, I despised you for it. I despise you. What you wanted to change our country into, I despise you for it. Who you wanted here, who you didn't want here, whose rights you didn't want to have, I cannot respect you. And though what happened to you is a terrible and horrible thing, I am glad you are gone.